Hello. This is the story of how I crossed the Atlantic Ocean on a 600 BC Phoenician ship Replica. Imagine this. It's 2 a.m. We're in the middle of the Atlantic on that wooden boat. I'm clinging onto a rope, vomiting overboard, thinking, what the hell am I doing here? Let me take you back. In most history curricula, we study the Greeks, the Romans, the pharaohs, but not the people who connected them. We're taught about Caesar and Columbus, but the Phoenicians, despite their significant contributions to mankind, are often overlooked. Why is that? Let's do a quick historical recap. Who were the Phoenicians? The Phoenicians, or Canaanites, are the indigenous people of the Levant. They were based in Lebanon and parts of neighboring countries. They have been living here for thousands of years despite invasions and colonizations. They organized in city-states such as Jbel or Byblos, Beirut, Saida, Sur or Tyre, Arwad, to name a few. The Phoenicians have quite a lot of achievements. They invented the alphabet, traded purple dye, which was the most coveted pigment in antiquity, worn by emperors and royalty. They invented blown glass, shipbuilding. They were the greatest sailors of their time. From a small strip of land on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, they sailed far across the Mediterranean basin, reaching all the way up to the English islands and circumnavigating the African continent. They were able to locate the Northern Star, which enabled them to sail by night. They conducted trade across 3 continents, perhaps even 4. But what is so special about them, I believe, was their spirit, coming from such a small strip of land facing the Mediterranean to go out into the open sea and brave the unknown for trade, exchange, and building connections with other people and cultures for the purpose of exploration and not exploitation. And it is because they did not exploit nor possess all the places they visited that the project I participated in was born. Led by Captain Philip Beale, British sailor and adventurer, this experimental archaeology project set to prove that the Phoenicians could have discovered America 2,000 years before Columbus. I first reached out to the captain in 2016. I emailed him asking him what he intended to do with the 600 BC Phoenician ship Replica. And when he told me he planned on crossing the ocean, I was immediately drawn to the project, worked on promoting it, and eventually volunteered as crew, although I had never set foot on a sailboat before, let alone a Phoenician one. The ship, Phoenicia, was built in Arwad, Syria, a Phoenician island famous for its shipbuilding. It is inspired by a shipwreck found at the bottom of the Mediterranean. It was constructed using ancient techniques. It is 20 meters long, 6 meters at its widest, with a 15 meters tall mast and no keel. So if you want to imagine how it was like sailing on that ship, just picture a huge bathtub thrown into the ocean. It rocks a lot. And for someone who gets seasick like myself, it was extremely difficult. But it's true what they say about seasickness. The hope of dying keeps you alive. The journey. We set sail in September 2019, starting from the great city of Carthage in Tunisia. Carthage was founded by the Phoenicians around 800 BC. From there, we crossed the Mediterranean all the way through the pillars of Melkart, as they were called, Gibraltar today, to Cadiz, founded by the Phoenicians around 300 BC. It's a small city in the south of Spain. Then to Morocco, Essaouira, where the Phoenicians traded. From there, we went to Tenerife in the Canary Islands. We caught the trade winds, and it took us 39 days to cross the Atlantic Ocean and reach Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. From there, we took the ship up through the Bermuda Triangle all the way to Miami, Florida. All of this using the winds and sea currents to get across. Although the Mediterranean was more difficult to sail, actually much more, with changing winds and currents at all times, the Atlantic was completely different because there's nothing all around. The horizon, 360 degrees. So it was extremely intimidating, but humbling at the same time. A small ship drifting in the vast immensity of the ocean. Life at sea. During the main leg of the journey, we were 12 people, 10 men, 2 women, and an uninvited guest, a rat. Just imagine a Brazilian, a Brit, and a Lebanese arguing on how to cook lentils in the middle of the ocean. We organized into 3 groups of 4, so 3 different teams, and at all times you had 4 people on deck with specific missions. You either helmed, which is drive the ship for an hour, cook or clean, be on lookout, and most importantly, pump the bilge, because yes, the boat did take in a lot of water, and we had to constantly, manually pump it out. No bunks, no cabins. We slept in an open space below deck on hammocks or thin mattresses. And I remember putting my head to sleep at night and thinking, there is 5,000 meters till the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean below me. We had no fridge, naturally. We cooked a lot of carbs. We caught a few fish. As you can see in the picture, the captain skinning a fish. Our toilet was basically a box attached to a ramp on the side of the ship, as you can see at the bottom right corner. We called it the worst toilet in the world with the best view in the world. I remember being caught in a storm in the middle of the Caribbean for 3 days, rain, wind, waves crashing, little sleep, water coming from everywhere. You needed 4 people on helm just to keep the ship on course, and it felt like every plank of the ship was going to break, but it didn't, and neither did we. Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink, says the rhyme of the ancient mariner. With limited supplies of drinking water, we cooked, we showered, we cleaned, and washed our clothes exclusively with seawater. Sailing by night. Every 3 days, each team would get to sleep a full night, or else you had to be on the night shift. I remember being woken up at 1:30 a.m. to go outside and start work, and I would reluctantly get myself out of bed, if you can call it a bed, and get outside, seriously reconsidering my life choices. What am I doing here? But then, once outside, I would forget all my misery, because in the least light-polluted place on Earth, you don't navigate the Atlantic, you navigate the Milky Way. And it was in this moment, connected the stars above to the ocean below, that I realized connecting cultures isn't so different. Making landfall. You smell the land before you see it. Everywhere we stopped, at every port, I would proudly raise the Lebanese flag. We had amazing welcoming from all the places we visited, and especially from the Lebanese diaspora. Some second, even third generations immigrants who had never even set foot in Lebanon were so happy to see a piece of home travel so far. I remember this woman in Santo Domingo who kept hugging me when I told her I came from Beirut. She told me with tears in her eyes that her parents left in the 20s, and she's been living there since, and it was just incredible for her to be close to someone that came from her homeland. This is when we arrived in Miami, Florida, where we also had an amazing welcoming. Lessons learned. Never cook lentils in seawater. The Phoenicians didn't wage wars. They built networks. They didn't conquer, they connected. And I think we still have a lot to learn from the Phoenicians. And as Lebanese, we should be proud of our Phoenician heritage, not just as a relic of the past, but as a living force that still lives within us. We are shaped and molded by the same seasons and landscapes, by the same mighty mountains and shimmering beaches. And maybe, just maybe, we inherited a little of their spirit and yearning for adventure. This journey has taught me about resilience, endurance, overcoming my fears, and the importance of making friends everywhere you go. Ancestors or not, the resemblance with us Lebanese is undeniable. The Phoenicians once created bridges across continents, and today, when we look at the Lebanese scattered all around the globe, from Brazil to France, from Australia to Nigeria, we see that the Lebanese are thriving and pioneers in their domain, proving that it's not only where you come from, but how far you're willing to go. And in the words of Amin Rihani, the footsteps of a pioneer become ultimately the highway of a nation. Now I know that far away from cities and people and roads, there is a place where complete and utter freedom exists in the heart of nature. At the end of the day, I'm just a regular Beiruti girl who had the opportunity of a lifetime. And against all odds, I took the risk. And it was worth it. Thank you. Thank you.